They say if you miss the last bus home, don't worry, another one will come. But in my city, that isn't always a good thing. I learned that the hard way. It all started on a Thursday night. I was standing alone at a bus stop that doesn't officially exist, Marrow Street. I had just finished a brutal double shift at the hospital. My phone was dead, my legs felt like wet cement, and all I wanted was to get home, shower, and forget the sound of heart monitors flatlining in my ears. The bus was supposed to arrive at 11:47 p.m., but 11:47 came and went. The minutes ticked by. Midnight. The streetlights began to flicker, casting long, dancing shadows. By 12:05, the world had gone silent. The road was completely empty. No cars, no footsteps. Even the usual distant hum of the city vanished, like someone had pressed a giant mute button on the universe. That's when I saw it, the bus stop sign. I swear, it twisted slowly, like metal taking a deep, shuddering breath. The letters peeled away and rearranged themselves, spelling out two chilling words. Marrow Street, final stop. I laughed. You know that nervous, high-pitched laugh you do when your brain refuses to accept what your eyes are seeing, that something is terribly, terribly wrong. And then, the bus arrived. It rolled out of the darkness without any headlights, without any engine noise, just the soft, unsettling hiss of tires on pavement. The doors swung open with a pneumatic sigh. Inside, the lights were dim and yellow, like old nicotine stains on a ceiling. The driver didn't even look at me. He just stared straight ahead. I was so exhausted, so desperate to get home, that I didn't care. I stepped on. As soon as the doors closed, I knew I'd made a mistake. There were other passengers, maybe 8 or 9 of them, scattered throughout the bus, but they didn't move, they didn't blink, they didn't seem to be breathing. Their skin was a pale, waxy gray, stretched just a little too tightly across their faces, like badly fitted masks. A cold dread began to creep up my spine. I found an empty seat near the back and sank into it, trying to look anywhere but at the other passengers. The doors closed, and the bus started moving, but that's when I realized something else was wrong. Horribly wrong. We weren't following the road. Buildings I'd never seen before slid past the window store, crooked apartment blocks with every window boarded up from the inside. The street signs were written in languages I didn't recognize, jagged symbols that seemed to writhe in the dim light. A woman sat across from me. She was wearing a business suit, but it was soaked dark around the collar, as if someone had tried to wash blood out of it and failed. She leaned forward, her eyes wide with a terror I was just beginning to understand. "You shouldn't be here yet," she whispered, her voice a dry rasp. My stomach plunged. What do you mean? Yet, her lips trembled, and a single tear traced a path down her gray cheek. "It only stops for the dead." My blood ran cold. I shot to my feet. The bus jolted violently, as if in protest. And then, one by one, the other passengers slowly, deliberately, turned their heads toward me. Their necks cracked and popped like frozen tree branches snapping. Their mouths opened, all at once, and they began to whisper. But they weren't whispering words. They were whispering dates, names, times. And then I heard it, clear as a bell above the horrifying chorus, my name and tomorrow's date. Panic surged through me. I scrambled for the front of the bus, stumbling over my own feet. The driver finally turned his head, and I screamed. He had no face, just a smooth, pale expanse of skin stretched over bone, with a single, deep vertical slit where his mouth should have been. He didn't speak. He just pointed a long, bony finger forward. Outside the windshield, the city was gone. There was only a long, black road surrounded by skeletal trees that bent inward, their branches interlocking overhead like the ribs of some colossal beast. And at the very end of that road, a neighborhood, silent houses with dark windows, crooked mailboxes leaning like tired old men, and one single rusted street sign, Marrow Street. "No," I gasped, backing away. "You made a mistake. This isn't my stop." The faceless driver shook his head slowly, the motion sickeningly fluid. The bus began to slow. The doors hissed open. A wave of cold air poured in, smelling of wet soil and rust. I did the only thing I could think of. I jumped. I launched myself out of the moving bus and hit the pavement hard, the impact jarring every bone in my body. The bus doors slammed shut behind me with a final, metallic thud, and it just drove away, disappearing back into the impossible darkness. And just like that, the world came rushing back. The sounds of the city crashed in like a tidal wave car's distant sirens, the murmur of late-night life. I was lying in the middle of a perfectly normal street. A police officer found me 5 minutes later. He thought I'd been in a hit and run, shaking. I told him everything. The bus, the passengers, Marrow Street. I expected him to laugh, to call for a psych evaluation, but he didn't. His face went pale. He told me Marrow Street was demolished 20 years ago, after a horrific bus accident killed everyone on board, including the driver. I quit my job at the hospital the next day. I sold my car so I'd never have to drive at night. I avoided buses like the plague. I thought I had escaped. I thought it was over. Until this morning. I woke up with dirt under my fingernails, the kind of grime you get from digging in cold, wet earth. And lying on my bedside table, right where I'd left my keys, was a bus ticket. It was old and faded, but the words were perfectly clear, stamped in stark black ink. Marrow Street final stop. Time, 11:47 p.m., and the date was today. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you enjoy this kind of dark, creepy content, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Stay safe out there, and maybe, just maybe, take a cab home tonight.